Yo! What up everybody, I'm Rim. Like and subscribe and watch my other videos. I just read the book Ashes by Iona Wayland and I friggin' loved it. So this is going to be a spoiler-free review because I recommend everyone reads this thing if you're a reader. Most of this is going to be my opinion without much of a dive into the plot or whatever, so just sit back and enjoy. So, I found this book after digging for content and coming across a Jenna Moreci stream, where she is talking about trauma in books and this author was her guest. And I was like, right, I gotta laugh at this shit. Clearly, I have a bias against Jenna Moreci and her terrible books and subpar advice. And after seeing her protege, Meg Latour, and how much worse she was, I went into this completely bad faith. I ain't finna lie. Just because I assume everyone that Jenna endorses writes about as well as she does, or worse. But I was thankfully wrong, and I got to read a book that was well written. It has issues, but honestly, they are so few and far and in between. The story is about a woman named Angela Solomon, whose brother died after being possessed by a demon or something while attempting to talk to his dead boyfriend. So Angela goes into a supernatural forest for reasons that I will not get into due to spoilers after struggling to survive the creatures that she clearly doesn't understand because they aren't normal animals, they are supernatural monsters. She meets a man named Wyatt who's programmed into the forest to help people or something. It's purposefully unclear why he is the way that he is, and I won't go into it because of spoilers. But the story generally revolves around her learning from him how to survive in the forest so that she can do what she needs to do, with flashbacks about how she got into this situation interspliced throughout the story. Very neatly, actually. They aren't all dream sequences or something, or just randomly popping up and stopping the story. Generally, they are connected to what is happening currently in the present. Kind of like how in real life you can be doing something and it kind of reminds you of a time where something similar happened or something along those lines. Or thematically, the flashback is relevant to the current situation. The monsters in the story also apply to her emotional state as well. Angela has a lot of trauma she's dealing with connected to her brother. Dude, I'm gonna complain about this later, just keep it in mind. And everything from the monster that leads her to meeting Wyatt, to the main monster that is chasing them around, to her relationship with Wyatt, are all connected to healing that trauma. It's just a really well done character arc, and I really like how well it's executed. And there are points in the book where she is left to depend on herself and not her forced survival instructor for extended periods of time, forcing her to use what little she has learned while also improvising and making mistakes. And this leads her to trusting him much more than she already has so far, because she really doesn't trust him much at first. Based on who she is as a character, with all of this taken into account, it's easy to see why their relationship becomes as intimate as it does throughout the story. Also, I want to bring this up because Jenna Moreci endorses this woman who wrote this gem of a story, but based on how these AuthorTube types tend to write their women characters as Mary Sues filled with vitriol fueled by the cursed whispers of gender politics, acting only as mouthpieces for the author's own feminist ideology. Usually male characters are all bumbling idiots, evil or insanely chauvinistic to a cartoonish degree, and the good ones are just wimpy white knight style simp pussy boys. Or gay, or both. And usually the gay characters, whether they are men or women, cannot be evil, vilified, or done any harm in any way due to the fear of the bury your gays trope. Also, women are not allowed to learn anything from male characters, I've actually begun to notice recently. But this book doesn't do this, which throws a wrench in the idea that you can judge people by their friends, because Jenna does the things that I've mentioned above in the 2 books that I read of hers, down to literally spouting some inane feminist nonsense that she didn't even attempt to try and substantiate in the story with that
"He doesn't like me because I'm better than him at his job, and I'm a woman"
in her Savior series. To be fair, Jenna doesn't do all of them, but she does a very large portion of them in both books. Savior's sister more so than Savior's champion. Tie that in with the fact that Savior's sister is basically a copy-paste of Savior's champion, and you got a gelatinous mass of goblin bukkake. I got off topic because I wanted to stall since I now have to address my complaints of the book, and I don't want to. I talked about it on Goodreads, so I am going to let Shtick handle this.
Okay, so I'm giving this 3 stars because overall, I loved everything about the book, aside from the ending and the implications that came along with the whole theme of unconditional love and how it's represented through her relationship with her horrible brother. First off, I feel as though the book frames how her parents treated her brother in a more negative light than how she treated her brother, by ignoring the reality that her brother genuinely was taking advantage of her kindness, and that she was enabling his negative behaviors, directly contributing to his spiral downward. Near the end, as I realized that this flaw in her character was not going to be meaningfully addressed, I actively began to dislike the main character, as she caused pain to other characters to gain her own goals, because this made her selfish desire to save her brother all the more negative. Ultimately, the book was great, but the ending as a vehicle for the theme of the book needs work. It should have addressed the reality of not being able to help everyone and the enabler and enabled relationship in a more meaningful way. If it was going to attempt to frame her brother and her motivations as sympathetic IMO, meaning in my opinion.
Basically, the story seems to have this theme of unconditional love. Like, someone can do so many terrible things to you, and no matter what, you need to love them, and that is the right thing to do. With the emotion of love being projected as Angela going above and beyond to cater to her deadbeat brother's every whim, no matter how he mistreats and gaslights her. And from what I can tell, the whole situation with Angela and the forest is just another portrayal of that. When you read it, you'll see throughout the flashbacks that Angela is taking care of her brother, giving everything she has to him, while he doesn't even pretend to try and help himself. And Angela's abundance of help is just enabling his behavior, which I think might be addressed slightly in the text with internal dialogue, but then it's completely disregarded by the central motivation of the plot, as the ending is just her obsessively doing the same thing that she always has been doing, saving her dipshit brother from his own mistakes, while he leeches off of her suffering and hard work, while she vilifies her parents and family for giving up on him because he never even tries to get better. And the book does work to tell you that he sucks, but at the same time tries to portray him as a victim because his parents don't like that. First off, he's gay, although they kind of recant that at the end because they said that they didn't agree with his homosexual lifestyle, but they still loved him. And second off, for being a shitty drug addict who steals from his sister, who is literally taking care of him and letting him mooch off of her. As I read the book, I found myself agreeing with the parents more and more as the ending came around. Not about the hatred of his gay lifestyle, but about everything else. And the book kept trying to make me forgive the brother, I guess, or see him the way that Angela sees him, and maybe that was the point. But all I saw was the author attempting to write herself out of the corner that she put herself in, because this mission to save this monster, read it, he's a fucking monster, got a lot of likable characters, either, you know what, well, I'm just gonna say they were killed because they died, but the writer decided that they didn't at the end by giving what amounts to a throwaway line to substantiate a fake out death, because I think she realized that what happened there was just some fucked up bullshit done to one of the most likable characters in the book, who literally did nothing wrong but get dragged into helping this woman save her shit-stained brother who did everything wrong. And this made Angela seem selfish as fuck and borderline like she didn't actually learn that her enablement of this evil man caused a lot of the harm in his life, but instead that she was just the same fucked up person that she had always been. And looking at the end, I assume that that isn't what Iona Wayland was going for. It seemed like she wanted to have a happy ending or a bittersweet ending, judging by what happened in the last chapter. I could be wrong with my assessment here, but on my first read-through, that's what I got out of it. If I'm wrong and someone tells me that, I'll read it again and admit it if I can verify that my being wrong is true. But the ending almost dropped the ball, and it didn't have to. But they fucked my nigga Wyatt over, man, and they expected me to clap for it? Nigga, nah. Regardless, I loved the book, just the ending was weird and borderline amoral, honestly. Anyway, I'm Rem. Like and subscribe, please. I really need it because I want my channel to grow. I'll see you next week with another video. Alright, bye-bye.